Travel in the high country over the next few days could be tough. Hopefully we won't see a repeat of what we saw on the roads yesterday. A major snowstorm contributed to a multi-car crash that shut down I-70 for hours.
Yeah, traffic was backed up in the westbound lanes for miles. And now there's even more snow on the way for the I-70 corridor. Your First Alert Chief Meteorologist Dave Aguilera has the forecast for you in just a few minutes. But first, your reporter in the mountains, Spencer Wilson, joins us live along I-70.
And Spencer, you've been talking to both law enforcement and elected officials. They say yesterday's crash could have been cleared much sooner, but semi-trucks had trouble getting out of the way in those conditions because a lot of them didn't have the proper tire chains.
That's correct. And there were no semi-truck trailers without chains at the crash. But that's not always been the case. We've seen it enough. That's a part of the conversation. And that's why training up on those semi-truck tires is such a big part of this conversation in terms of getting this cleared.
It's not just about being frustrated you can't get past this line of cars when there's a crash. Sometimes there's someone who needs help at the front of the crash from first responders, but even they can't get up to help them.
Those semis weren't chained up, so therefore they can't move out of my way.
It's just part of the equation for why traffic crashes in storms on I-70 here are so difficult. It's hard to clear them, thousands of cars are creating a backlog with no other way around. It's enough that local leaders have asked Governor Polis to get involved.
Asking him to give us a little more support, increase the fines for failing to chain up, strengthen the chain up laws, perhaps give some resources at the chain up stations to help them chain up. And if we could have a little more state patrol presence along here, that would be a big help.
And if you're noticing that chains seems to be a big topic of conversation here, Clear Creek County Sheriff's Office says that's because it's a big reason we see issues like this. Chain law may not have been in effect when the crash happened, but it was still snowing, and trucks were slipping without them.
Obviously, when snow's on the ground like that and you're slipping and you can't move, it should be a no-brainer of you shouldn't need the law in effect to know you should probably put your chains on, especially in these mountains.
And aside from the millions of dollars that are estimated the state loses each hour the interstate is closed, aside from the rage drivers feel trapped in traffic and the sometimes impossible task for first responders to get through that jam to not only clear it, but help those in the crash, it's taking Clear Creek County's law enforcement away to do a job that's technically the state's responsibility.
Honestly, 85% of my job is on I-70.
Another part of this, Clear Creek County Sheriff's Office told me that 100% of their force yesterday was used to help clear that crash. So they weren't able to focus on their job, helping their community with law enforcement. There's a couple of ideas from Clear Creek County, either from the Sheriff's Office or local officials, on what could change to help make this better. Some of them ranging to maybe a little far-fetched, like making sure semi-truck drivers have a license to go through Colorado's mountain corridor specifically, or even to copying places like Utah, who do check every single vehicle, both commercial and passenger vehicles, to make sure they have the equipment, tires, and even chains that they would need to get over this during a storm. Live near the Eisenhower and Johnson Memorial Tunnels, Spencer Wilson, covering Colorado First.
Yeah, certainly something needs to be done. Spencer, thank you.